Okay. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Trustee Grundon,
Here.
trustee McGregor,
Here.
trustee Moore,
Here.
trustee Radke,
Here.
trustee Saylor,
Here.
trustee Zerflu.
Present.
Okay, next we are going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's right. Give instructions. Yep. Okay, next, we do have public comment. We will take the public comment in the room first, and then we will go through Zoom. For those of you who are on Zoom, please just stay muted until you're called upon or until it is your turn, just because otherwise we get a lot of feedback on our end. Yep, and if you are on Zoom and you would like to comment, I think there's a raise hand feature, or you can comment in the chat box and I will try to keep on top of that as well. For public comment, public participation and comments are encouraged and valued. Each citizen that requests to speak shall give their full name for the record, and this will be included in the minutes. Each meeting shall include a public comment section. The individual or group representation shall have 3 minutes to address the board. Their comments can be answered directly by a trustee if it is deemed appropriate. So I will keep time up here. I try to at around 2.5 minutes, kind of give you a heads up that we're getting close to your 3-minute mark, just so you know where you are with your time. First, because we do not have a spot for him, but interim administrator Dwayne Gow would like to make a couple comments first.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Dwayne Gow, the interim administrator. I want to, for the record, indicate on the latter part of the evening of March 13th, I sent an email out to the captains and the chief and the village board members and indicated to them that that the chief and the captain do not follow my direction order, are not at the Port Edwards Fire Department station at 5 p.m. I'll have directly our police chief to have an officer find you. I'm bringing you bring all of you to the fire station to have peaceful transfer of duties and our outgoing chief. Now, when I came back the next morning, I was informed that was not a appropriate statement. So in the morning by noon, I had a village Facebook post saying, furthermore, my statement regarding police department involvement with the transfer of duties have been corrected. I do not have the authority and the transfer of duties are already occurred. Later in that afternoon, I did receive an email from one of our captains. Captains indicated, I will be at the Port Edwards Fire Department at 5 p.m. as your request / demands. Please let me know if you are going to be there. I responded to the captain, I'm going to be there around 5-ish to meet the acting chief. I have been corrected about my demand of you being there. That was incorrect. Once you've given your acting chief your resignation already, we'll have that person handle the transfer of duties. These are on emails that I sent to the chief, the captains, and the village board members. Thank you.
Okay, we will start. Oh gosh. Sorry. For public comment too, if you could stand by the lectern, just so that we know who's speaking, so we can give you our attention. That would be appreciated. So first on the sheet is Becky Kruger.
Oh, you have a second sign, Corey?
There's some more up there too.
Is there? Okay.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Becky Krieger. I just moved to the village in January, beginning of January. And I just have a couple of questions, if not many, but 3 minutes. my question is, according to your bylaws, how many firefighters can effectively run the fire department? And how many are currently on the roster? And what degree of knowledge must you have on the department when each of the firefighters carry out all duties needed when they go to the fire? And how will this affect my homeowner insurance due to low numbers of firefighters? And where can I see and read all of the past and present bylaws?
Those are all the questions that you would like? For now, okay. I'm hoping that some of those things get addressed, throughout. I know, in mine, I do have some comments, I guess, unless anybody else would want to speak on any of those questions right now. That's Andy, on the table, I mean,
Yeah.
Eric, go ahead.
So it looks like right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Current. And then the people that are left, I mean, I personally have confidence in everybody that's left. Nobody here is going to just blow something off. As far as the insurance and all that stuff. And then the minutes and agendas, and I don't know if the bylaws, but they're all on the village website. Bylaws are not on the village website.
They're not, okay. I will see if I can get them uploaded to their, to the website.
I can see the transitions as well.
Do we have a electronic record of the old bylaws?
That was written more than that.
Just written one? Okay, I'll see if we have an electronic copy.
We can provide one, we get the email from them.
Sure. Okay.
Give us our email, we can provide you electronic.
Okay,
Could write it right on the sign-in sheet.
I have it up here,
Oh,
yes, okay. Any other questions?
Um,
Or did I miss some? I think we tried to hit on some of them.
Oh, I would also like to know, what you think the problem that has been going on with the fire department, what your viewpoints are on it.
Okay, and we might get to some of those, but we have them written down, and if we don't get to them, feel free to follow up with us.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Thank you. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to keep this in the middle here for you. Doug Clement?
My name is Doug Clement, and just a couple of remarks for the board as we begin tonight. And the first is to acknowledge something I think we all recognize, and that is change is not easy. It's especially not easy when things are still in the air and pieces are still moving across the board. Anytime we're faced with folks leaving, whether it's at work or school or church or in our family life, it can be difficult to figure out what to do next. Whether we get along well with them or not, we have to deal with the fact that they are going to be gone, and yet the work doesn't stop. So as you consider the items on your agenda tonight, I would ask that you, the members of the village board, and all of us in this room, take this as an opportunity to celebrate the good things and good people that have gotten us to this point, while also taking the opportunity to explore what will best help us meet the needs, present and future, of our community. We cannot go back to the way things were before, but we can take steps now to ensure the current and future residents will have emergency services that are well equipped, well led, and structured for maximum safety and effectiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Okay. Let's see here. Which way? Juris Repsa. Wait.
Good
evening. My name is Gerald Streps. I reside at 1011 Sherrill Court. I've lived in the village since 1982, which I guess is 42 years. I'm getting up there in age. I had three sons who graduated from the high school and are doing quite well. They've moved out of the house, they're not in the basement, so they're gone. I was a volunteer firefighter for only 10 years. I was a secretary. And I rose to the rank of lieutenant. I grew up in the days of riding on the running boards. And the equipment has changed a lot, so you have to have a lot of trust in your fellow firefighters. They're kind of hanging on to you while you're buckling up your coat as you're going out to the fire. So, and you trusted them, they were brothers. And they always were there to help you, whether it's your house or something else, so. I guess, I'm not gonna ask any questions, but I just wanna have the village maybe reassess their actions and so we can move forward and get on to a more productive fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. I also just want to say, if you see me typing or taking notes, that's what I'm doing. I'm not paying attention. Okay, Jess. Bruce Stiggles, you had a yes and then cross it out. Did you want to speak? No, okay, I just wanted to double check. Okay, next we have Matt Fletcher.
Just a couple comments. First of all the firemen we have, great bunch of people. I just want everybody to know that, not everybody on the fire department is even eligible to be a fireman right now. We've got some people that haven't taken entry level, people that aren't, eligible, pregnancy, stuff like that, and we don't have any to study there, like, honestly, guys. You guys are gonna be told some stuff tonight by these guys. They're gonna paint themselves victims, put themselves in corners. Tell you that they don't have a lot of time to figure the stuff out yet, so I'm prepared for that. I'm just telling you, this is what we've been told for a long time, so we will probably do some more of that. We have a board, we have a PFC, we have village president. Nobody has any fire here except the fire department. Yet they're the ones making all these decisions, pushing us, pulling us, prodding us. 11 people have walked away since Christmas. 300 years of firefighting experience is gone. What nobody understands is it takes 2 years just to train somebody, just to bring them on the department, to hold a hose, to know what they're doing. In my lifetime, you guys will never have a full fire department again. I'm positive of that. It was hard enough just to say when we were there, and I don't see anybody else ringing the bell to sign up. So 2 years is gone, or 2 years to train rather, and nobody that I know is willing. So maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see anybody bringing up here to sign in. And lastly, Dwayne, I don't even know why you're here. I can't explain to anybody, and nobody's given me any reason why you did what you've done, said what you said. Who would do that? Who has that kind of authority to talk about bringing the cops to your house? I mean, you gotta be
Point of
joking. Like,
order,
that's
we're
stuff-
not gonna be attacking.
That's
people.
goofy. So.
There's a point of order.
Yeah, you can point of order me, I'm done anyway, so good to hear a lot of that too. Thank you, guys.
Let me see here. Mark Sweeney.
Mark Sweeney, and a lot of my questions have been answered already as far as the number of people. But just a couple of questions that I have about that. From what I understand, you have to have a lot of schooling and years to become a chief or a captain. And I was just wondering what we have left of the people here, how far they have gone through some of the schooling to be in some of those proper leadership roles that are very important for the fire department.
Okay, sorry, I'm just taking another note here. We've had, sorry, I'm trying to look. there are a couple of different ways to do it, and I don't have the specific trainings that everybody has had in front of us. But I do know that there's a significant amount of training that has happened. I think Dwayne has got a list of who has had what for training. And what needs to be there for training. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. Hold on. There's significant amount of people, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 have got, a lot of the additional trainings. I know some are currently working on additional trainings to keep going forward with that.
Yeah,
Did that help? I'm sorry.
doesn't happen overnight, but,
No.
like, to be a captain, you have to have a lot more training than you do.
Yep.
To be the fighter, kind of.
Yep.
The rest of it.
You can also find that online. It's, if you Google fire department lookup, that'll be the easiest way of telling you.
Yep, we have a list, and I know, Dwayne has one too.
That'll tell me the training they need, but I don't know how you can find the training. Our
It's-
fire
it's on
department
there.
said It's
It's on
on.
I can find out.
Dennis Sager.
My name is Dennis Sager. I live at 721 Verbunker. I've been a village resident my entire life. I'm also a retired assistant chief on the fire department for 36 years. I only have a few questions. I probably won't take 3 minutes. I'll start off by saying since the election, what has changed? This fire department's over 100 years old. And it worked just fine up until the election. And it's like, for some reason, there's village board members that hate our existing chief to the point where they pushed his buttons and prodded and pranked and pulled until he couldn't take it anymore and he left. So, I don't understand. They had him going in so many different directions that he couldn't be the fire chief. You forced trustee, Sailor to leave the fire department because of a conflict of interest. He couldn't be on the village board and the fire department. Well, I've been here around a long time, and I know that, Administrator Don Krasny was on the village board and he was on the fire department. Roland Albee was on the village board and he was on the fire department. And, that seemed to work out just fine. So I don't know where these conflicts of interest have come and this hate has come to a point that we're in the mess that we are in. A friend of mine, a classmate, called me the other day. He happens to be the chairman of town of Seneca, and he wanted to know, I just sent him $3,500 to the village of Port Edwards for EMS services that used to be hooked to our fire dues. And he goes, do I even have a fire department that's gonna come to my house? I said, I don't know the answer to that. I said, you're gonna have to get a hold of the village board to answer those questions. But the fact that that information is getting passed back and forth is, it's bothersome. So I'm only gonna tell you as a longtime resident and a past member of the Porter's Fire Department, you guys gotta get your stuff in one bag, because this is terrible. You need to figure this out.
Thank you. Mm. Okay, Jason Warden.
So Zach asked a couple questions through email today. With the board's permission, can I be allowed more than 3 minutes to speak? So, can someone donate their time?
I'll do it my time.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to say none of what I have to say is focused toward trustee Saylor or trustee Moore. I want to thank you both. You've been very fair with your decision making. Secondly, I fully support Brian Lupke and his skills. He is more than up to the task, although it is now almost insurmountable. And, I love you, Brian. I'll support you and the fire department always. We've always worked well together, and tomorrow I'm gonna help you with some self-certifications. For some fire contracts that are due coming up. So it's 7:52 AM today, I received an email from trustee Grundon asking me to explain and provide things. Just a reminder, I'm no longer an employee. This time I'll answer the questions because I think everybody would like some clarification on some of my interview statements. But the next time you bother me and ask me official village business through official email, I will officially charge the village $100 for consulting services. I claim that, claims that there have been several instances of mismanagement at village level, and he was denied a request to elevate a fellow staff member's position. Provide a statement and, instances of mismanagement. Captain Fletcher was not promoted, was recommended not to be promoted by the village administrator before any kind of police and fire commission process had taken place, because he overheard that he had an argument with someone, and he listened to a lot of other false accusations against Captain Fletcher. You all have seen Captain Fletcher upset during village meetings, and that's who you didn't want to promote. I have watched him help people all over this community. I've watched him risk his life to fight fires for 22 years. And I've watched him save people's lives as a first responder for 22 years. And that's who I wanted to promote. I made multiple official complaints with the former village administrator, and they were all disregarded. We kept getting solicited to pay for things with our fundraising money, like a portion of the rescue truck, and paying for a grant writer for turnout gear. I could really get dirty with this one, but I have an internal code of honor that even though this person stabbed me in the back, I won't publicly shame them. But one of my official complaints was that I was charged $250 to fill my swimming pool, and another person was not charged a single dime. But then a person sends a complaint through email because they weren't recommended for promotion. Trustee McGregor throws the word discrimination on top of it. The PFC dismisses the complaint because it wasn't submitted properly. But that wasn't enough. So the village administrator takes on the investigation. The last thing he did before leaving his position last July was to declare that there was no wrongdoing. But that wasn't good enough. The village sends it back to the PFC. The PFC decides that this needs to be investigated by a third-party law firm. After multi-thousands of taxpayers' dollars, it was determined there was no wrongdoing. And I got no closure in my disciplinary action over that. In an interview, I said, I told myself I can't take one more lie. Things were really rough. I asked for an apology, and apology was not given. Specifically, what lies were told by any board members. It was claimed during a public safety meeting that firefighters were turned away from Pittsville for having facial hair. That was false. I called and verified that claim. I was claimed to have an email from April Hammond stating firefighters could not. It's claimed that there was an email from April Hammond stating firefighters could not be on scene with facial hair. That was false. I had 2 emails from April Hammond saying that firefighters with facial hair can be on scene. Claimed we were committing ethics violations with our fundraising procedures. That was false. The village attorney had to come in here and tell you all twice to leave it alone. Our fundraising efforts have purchased a thermal imaging camera, a boat, a trailer, a motor, a UTV with a custom skid pack on the back, a trailer, and a truck. You know how many bratwursts you have to sell to pay for a truck? But still, we were called out as ethics violators for not letting the village have their fingers into that money. For not disclosing information about that account. It was claimed we were violating state statutes with our training requirements. That was false. We had to scramble around and prove we had the proper certifications, going back years, jumping through hoops that weren't even necessary. People at Midstate said, why do you need this stuff? I already told that lady on the phone how all this works. Claimed Captain Fletcher used the F word multiple times during the meeting. That was false. I've looked back through these meetings. If you all can prove it to me, I will eat this speech. I was falsely accused of manipulating people when I sent a few trustees my to-do list and a few suggestions. During a meeting, the village president claimed she never saw that email, but 20 minutes later, she was quoting sections of it. So there's a lot of other ones. I just got the meeting notice a little while ago, so I only had about a couple hours to throw this speech together. The last straw for me was the village president claimed I was, during a recorded meeting, she said that during the last meeting, I was staring at her and intimidating her. That was false. During meetings, I like to make eye contact with people. I don't type on my computer or look at my phone when people are speaking. During a board meeting, Trustee Saylor was very outspoken about how disrespectful some trustees are for behaving like that. But that meeting, along with a few other ones, was strangely not recorded. So, another question from Trustee Grundy. What are you speaking of when you asked for apology? Who did you ask? Really? During a village board meeting, I sat right there and asked you all for an apology for all the crap I've been through, all the false accusations, the disciplinary procedures. I asked for an apology because I was having difficulty moving on. And I was met with blank stares. I have letters here that I've written. April 2024, 2023, December 2014. Multi-page letters I've written to the village board, pleading with them to please back off. I said that once during a meeting and I was reprimanded for saying that. This letter here, I mentioned probably, 12 times? Firefighters are going to get mad and quit. Firefighters are going to get mad and quit. Here we are. So I've told you over and over that if you didn't stop with your threats of punishment, false accusations, people are going to get mad and quit. We've had dozens of people in here trying to talk to you, retired chiefs, assistant chiefs, firefighters, coming to these meetings, speaking, trying to speak when they aren't being silenced. But you won't listen. Hundreds of years of subject material experts, and you wouldn't listen. You did a 10-minute Google search and thought it'd be a real great idea to wear a plastic bag on our head, go stand next to burning buildings. Ridiculous ideas like that, which we had to defend against getting. I'm not perfect. I've made some mistakes too. I fought to try and have retirees be able to have a beer at the fire station after a dinner meeting. I don't think that's too much to ask, and I know the way the world works. Those things are going by the way, but I don't think it's too much to ask to have a retiree have a beer with some of us and tell some old stories. I was absolutely desperate to find a resolution with a certain trustee. So I made a mistake and contacted her full-grown adult daughter, who was a friend of a friend, asking if she could give me some insight on how I could smooth things out with this certain trustee. This resulted in me being written up for harassment. I love being a firefighter. I'd even consider coming back under certain circumstances because I like helping the community. I've always liked helping. All of us just want to help and give back to our community. But you people just don't understand what it's like to be a firefighter. Thousands of hours of schooling and training and sleepless nights and seeing horrible things. You don't understand the brotherhood and the family atmosphere and the respect for our older members and what it's like to truly trust someone with your life and to have someone trust you with theirs. Just look at all the people who attended past meetings supporting the fire department. Look at all the people who are here tonight or commenting on Facebook. I had a fire chief from halfway across the state telling me he's supporting us and understands the pressures of being a chief, because once he tried to end his life after suffering through a whole week of night terrors. Our firefighters are walking away from thousands of hours of training and decades of experience. Some of them are leaving behind their entire retirement contributions. I know the narrative that's going to be attempted to be spun off of all this. And if this is all my fault or my misunderstanding, then I must be the greatest leader to have ever served this community, to have inspired this sort of action taken by us, by the former firefighters.
Thank you. Dream Sillers, right? Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm Doreen Sillers. I live in the village of Port Edwards on the bunker. I come from generational of firefighters in my family. My grandfather was firefighter for Port Edwards. My father and my brother were also served the Port Edwards Village Fire Department. So it's very meaningful for me what is happening with the village. A little history lesson, I think, that took place before all of this fell down was Nakusa Ambulance Service used to charge Port a certain fee, and then they increased that rate, which then caused the Port Edwards Village to look for a cheaper option. They went with Rapids. Rapids gave them a low ball number of like $7 or something like that. You guys went with Rapids, then basically Nakusa Ambulance now service has disbanded since then because they couldn't afford to continue to pay for their services anymore because they lost Saratoga, Rome, and Port Edwards. Now Rapids has gone, because now they're a monopoly, they can control whatever prices they want. They have increased theirs to like $70 or $80, something like that, from where they were charging before, $7. And that's kind of where this has got us into this mess we're at now. Because now our property taxes are gonna go up because of that extra cost that Rapids is charging us for their fire department service. The village, from what I understand, wanted to tap into the 503 savings account of the fire department. And they'll probably cover some of that cost or to use that money in other ways that was not allotted to be used. That's my understanding. I'm just going with my understanding. And that has caused some hardship between the fire department and the village, and some of the decisions the village has made toward what the cost is gonna be to offset that cost from Rapids. I feel like going forward, that you said there's 10 members, the fire department, you can't run a fire department with just 10 people on a volunteer service. Plain and simple. You don't have, those 10 people are not gonna be there for every fire. They have full-time jobs. If they have off of work or can get away from the job to come serve with the fire, great. But even 10 with 2 fire trucks, that's still not gonna be enough people to cover a fire. Okay, so right now, we don't really have a fire department. So what do you say? You know, we have a couple people to find people to volunteer, to give up their time, to go to schooling for it. 2 years of schooling, all the extra training you have to do to join on. Most of these firefighters are lifetime family members, like my family was. You know, my grandfather, my father, my brother, their kids, the people that you lost in this fire department, their kids are no longer going to want to volunteer for the Port Edwards Fire Department and continue that tradition because of what has taken place. So not only have you lost these, whatever number of people that left, you've lost generations of people coming forward to be on the fire department. And the village is small. There's not a lot of people to pull from to do the fire department. So now we're gonna have to increase for that because we're gonna have to have Rapids cover us or Nakusa cover us to cover this area. Our insurances will go up because it's gonna take longer for them to get here to put the fire out. And I guess those are my statements.
Okay, thank you. Just to answer a couple of the things that you did bring up. At no point was it ever asked of the athletic association to give money to cover ambulance fees. That was never a thing. As for having low numbers, I understand that. We do have Rapids ambulance, as you have said. They're coming no matter what on every call that they're needed. And then also auto aid with Wisconsin Rapids and Nakusa. So just like if it was a year ago and we had a bunch of people, and they were all at work, let's say like during the day, Rapids and Nakusa are both still coming. So we had to make those I just shouldn't say adjustments, that's a bad word, but those things have been in place because they know that our guys are volunteer, guys and girls, I'm sorry, are volunteer and are not here during the day to work. I know, I've heard stories about when the mill was operational and the tones would go off, everybody would be able to go and do that. Obviously, that's not a thing anymore. So, just so that everybody is aware, we do have an ambulance coming, we do have fire trucks coming, we have people coming, so it's not that we don't.
It'll take longer for them to get here.
Right.
It's not going to be immediate.
But actually, it doesn't necessarily take longer because they're at the station ready to go.
If
Our,
they're not on other calls.
if they're not on other calls or where but the way that it has been tracking, they're getting there very promptly. We can get that information from them
Mhm.
if we need to do more research, we can get that.
I
But
just know going forward, now that we've lost even more fire department members, they're gonna be needed more often.
yeah,
And
well,
I think
not necessarily because we also
Okay.
have people looking into coming back.
Okay, thank you, but we can look up that other information for you. Glenn Sager.
Hello, I'm Glenn Sager, I live in the village, I'm fourth generation here, live on 930 Pond Lane. I was a trustee for a while. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to talk, and appreciate everybody's situation, it's been there. Anyway, yeah, I kinda wanted to come here to hear what was going on, to get a little more detail on the fire department. And yes, it's very disturbing to hear we lost possibly 11 people since the first year. I'm not sure of the numbers, but I know quite a bit. And I know we don't have that many to begin with, and then as others have alluded to, recruitment and that is a big deal and it's hard. And the hours that are put in, for training and the raising family, don't get paid for a lot of this stuff. And thank you, thank all of you for doing that. A lot of us, we do not understand what all you go through or the nightmares you have afterwards. But I can tell you, a lot of us, we thank you. I guess silently, because we don't always see you, but yes, absolutely, thank you. I guess what I wanted to say to the board is, I don't know all the particulars, there's always two sides to everything, it's somewhere's in the middle. I hope everybody can find some middle ground. If you can't get somebody that can, that would be my recommendation. It's sometimes you gotta take a break from it. And find somebody that can work together. Cause we need that. We're like somebody else said, we're small. This is a small community. We're not, we're holding our own. I wouldn't say we're thriving, but we're holding our own. And there's a lot of things in the works that you guys are working on that hopefully some stuff will break through. But in the meantime, we need to make do with what we have, and we need to try and get along and I know in this day and age, it's really polarized, but try and find a group that can work together, find the right communicators, and I think, maybe we can. I'm hoping we can. Cause like they say, to have 300 years of service walk out the door is not acceptable by me. That's something wrong, it needs to change. And yeah, if you can, try and find a way, there's more than one way to do anything, so hopefully, and this is a start. This is great, this is what we all need, we need to hear, we need to be able to speak our mind, so, but thank you.
Thank you. Brian Lukey. Oh. Okay. Then Jim Anderson.
Good evening, my name is James Anderson. I was on the fire department for 34 years, last 20 years as chief officer in the late 80s to 2007, I believe. I'm not going to talk much about the fire department because you know exactly what you get. I'm going to talk on how we got here in the first place. You go right there, one of your trustees, he took it upon himself to skip trustee Radke as chief of the department and hire a woman. Okay, but he took that upon himself. He thought that was a great idea. Well, that particular woman's had more disciplinary action than anybody. The village had to pay dearly to even get rid of her. That started this whole thing. So then, they had to have a police and fire commission, which we never had. Fire department did everything internally with the bylaws, with the promotions, with, I in fact let 3 firemen go by myself and told the village board that they just weren't worth keeping, and it was fine. So now we got this police and fire commission, that's terrible. They have no idea what they're doing. You lost Doug Caston on there. He was the only real fireman on there that knew what was going on. He was one of my assistant chiefs. And now you got the village administrator. You went through how many village administrators all getting a full-time one? Goes back to chief there, Chief Joe. He was president of this operation, and he never reined in trustee Grunman, yourself, Betsy. He never reined you in when you had this bad election stuff going on, and dirty politics there, and violating stuff against the fire department. And we got a couple members on this board that are good, trustee Saylor and trustee Moore, that have a sense of really what's going on. As part of that police and fire commission, they never had a police and fire commission to stir things up. Just let the fire department do itself, do the stuff internally, which we did. We had 27 members plus 4 members as associates when I retired. That was 17 years ago. So, and now look what you got. And we had 4 chiefs. I was the 4th chief since 1923 to 2007. Now with the board, you had 4 chiefs in 17 years. There's something amiss here. The people got to figure this out. It's a crying shame having all this experience and all this loss of talent. You have no idea what it is carrying 2 adults out of a fire scene that are passed away, climbing down steps. They're going down 2nd story windows, head first, escape fire. They just have no idea what's going on. So you lost a good fireman and sailor. So I don't know what more can be said. I know we don't need I know this all started with Joe Zerflu. And now look what kind of mess we got. You just can't skip people. Ron Radke was more than qualified to be the next chief.
You
But
have
no,
20 seconds, I'm just telling you.
I just want you to all think about that. And, got a lot of firemen here, a lot of concerned citizens. And we had a very successful fire department. Boy, you couldn't, we're one of the top in the central Wisconsin. We're the first for large diameter hose, first for high pressure foam, first with the jaws of life. We taught Rapids how to use large diameter hose. They didn't even have any. We got ours in 1989 with the new truck. We've got so many firsts here that it's unbelievable. It's all thrown out the window because of a couple trustees and vindictiveness of whatever you've been thinking. So gotta get a handle on it.
Thank you. You bring it. Just
I just
Okay,
wanted to address a couple things. I agree with the part of the turnover that's very difficult. That's no individual on the board makes any decisions. And any chief, those changeovers also are not the board. The board didn't push Patrick Arndt out. The board didn't force firefighters to leave. Those are things that internally happen. It's the growing pains of departments. Those are not any one person.
fault, right?
Oh, what are you smoking?
Our fault, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
Thank
I
you.
know it wouldn't take long.
Okay,
Not what I said.
okay, we need to keep it together. Okay. We are gonna go on to Zoom for, oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I would like to address Chief Anderson, one statement he made. I've heard a lot of that was false, well, I'm gonna say that was false. I had absolutely nothing to do with Officer Radke not becoming the next police chief. We did not have a police and fire commission at that time. Okay? The village board at that time decided that Lon was not gonna be the next chief, and they hired another person. And if you don't believe me, Chief Anderson, you can ask a citizen that sat on that committee, and that would be Mr. Stewart, who is now the chairman of the Police and Fire Commission. I just want to set that record straight. And if there's one thing I am not, it's a liar.
Would you back them up at all?
Okay,
Did you say, it should be?
there's no debating, we're moving on.
If you don't turn in an invitation.
Okay, we are moving on. You could continue that conversation some other time. We are going to Zoom. I know Tom Bartlett, did want to speak. So Tom, if you want to unmute, and speak, you are more than able to at this time.
Okay, I am Tom Bartlett. I currently live in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. I was a 60-year resident of the village of Port Edwards. I was born and raised just a block from where you're at right now. I had 34 years on the Port Edwards Fire Department, 7 years as the fire chief. I made a 2-hour trip to talk to the police and fire at the meetings in support of Chief Warden and the fire department. And I made, I believe, 3 trips, 2 hours one way, and it didn't seem to do any good. It's very frustrating on my part. I would like to say that everything that the village board or tried to do with the fire department, maybe some of the stuff needed to be done, but it's the way you went about doing it. You used discipline, you used timetables that were not realistic. You forced the issues, you did everything you did to make life miserable. The fire department has a staggering number of calls for its size. These guys put in an unbelievable amount of time. And then you put all of these demands on the chief on top of those. Writing a grant. Writing some of these grants can take 2 to 3 months of, just an unbelievable amount of time. And I think that's one of the things, and what did the village board do? Disciplined him because he didn't have it done on time. I find that, I can't come up with a word right now, but you can't do that. You need to support him, not discipline and force these issues. You need to give him the needed help to get these things done. Brian, as an interim chief, is going to need help. And if you want the fire department to be around, you need to change the way you're doing things. I believe you can still have a fire department. I heard one of the concerns, 90% of fires could be put out with 3 or 4 guys on a truck. It's that last 10% that takes multiple departments nowadays. When you see multiple departments being dispatched, it's all because they are having a hard time getting volunteers. Even the full-time departments are having a hard time getting people. The education that is required is staggering. I guess that's all I have to say is I just hope in the future you take some of these methods that you used in the past and change the way you're doing these things. everything you tried to do wasn't necessarily bad. It's how you went about it. That brought us to where we're at today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, Susan said that she wanted to speak. Susan, can you just give us your last name so we can put it in the record as well? Maybe. Oh,
I
okay.
am now. My last name is Hatton. I live in the village.
Okay, you can go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I'm gonna take a break from giving you guys grief about the fire department for just a minute. My family and I have lived here for over a year now. And in that year, the only thing that we have really seen here is the overassessment of our homes, raising our taxes, which I'm not against. I understand that taxes need to be raised. But what exactly is that money going for? The streets are starting to become awful. We lost the post office, that building's falling apart. We pretty much lost the fire department. We don't really have a police department. We have an administrator misusing their power. And now our homeowners insurance is going to go up because of the fire department. So I'm not exactly clear on what's going on. Being a new resident, all of this is very disturbing, and it's not going to want to make people want to do business here or even live here. So I would like to know personally what the village is going to do to make this village a place that people want to go again. The dog park is not going to be enough. The downtown looks horrible, especially with the buildings falling apart. A paint job's not going to help. I mean, is there any ideas on improvement? Is there any time frame on the fire department? I'm sorry if that was asked already. I came in late. I don't understand what is going on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Susan. I don't know if you've heard when you jumped in and how much you heard was for that for the fire department discussion, that the fire department is not shut down. We do have some firefighters still, and then we do have mutual aid in the ambulance contract as well. As for some of your other questions, there are things in place and there are committees that are trying to work on a couple of things. And I have a list here of things that you would like to be addressed, and I will get them out to the different committees to maybe get on their agendas to discuss.
Regarding the post office, in our committee, we have made contact. There's supposed to be some kind of developing plan. We don't have any power over that building. However, there has been conversation about how we can move forward because the back of it is deteriorating to such an extent that we need to look at taking action.
Thank you for that update.
Mhm.
Okay, did I miss anybody that wants to speak? I know I saw a couple people walk in a little bit later. Okay, oh, Sandy Robinson.
I have a question, I mean, that I do
Oh, okay.
have confidence in. I'm not here to bash anyone or discuss anything except what I know to be a fact. And that would be, so many people are worried about their homeowner's insurance. So I own my homeowner's insurance, Wausau Mutual. And I learned that if I live within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, which most all of us do, that's covered under my policy. And if I didn't have the premium policy, then a step lower, then I would have to live within 6 miles of a fire department. And it doesn't matter if it's a volunteer or if it's a full-time fire department. Well, I guess I'm good with that too. So I think everybody just worrying and running scared and getting all excited should do some homework. Call your homeowner's insurance and find out how you're covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Did I miss anybody else? Oh, okay.
I had a question mark underneath my name, so
Oh, gosh, sorry.
that's fine. So my name is, Tim Schmidt, and I'm one of the food supervisors at the township at Port Edwards. And, I'm just here to voice my concern of the fire department and the contract we have for the township. Believe it or not, it's more than a street dance and great fellowship, you know, to me. And I want to make sure our township is protected for our contract. And make sure the bylaws are followed for our protection. Along with the board asked to revamp the contract if the fire department was dissolved, that we would be prorated. We received a phone call why we were doing this. We did this for all of our services. It's just common sense in today's world why we'd want to do that. I mean, I don't know why we'd be questioning that. But whatever we were. Then the administrator called my chairman and asked if he heard rumors of the fire department dissolving, and my chairman did not hear anything. And even if he did, what's the difference? We honored the contract by paying for a well-oiled fire department for the services that the township needs. I would think the village board would have better things to do than, well, and chase rumors. I could go on and on about this. It's just upsetting for me because I lost the Coosa ambulance service. You know, we had to go through all that. And I just wanted to say thanks for all of the present and the fire department personnel and the new ones that are coming on, hopefully. But I'm not here to gripe funding. I just hope we can resolve this and make sure that we can honor the contract that we signed, which I'm sure we are. I don't know, I didn't get into bylaws or whatnot yet. That's not really for me. I'm just happy that we do still have you guys. But I want to make sure that we are protected for our own township people. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not here to start pointing fingers at everybody, but you know, that is part of my job as being elected to make sure that we have that protection.
Thank you. Okay. With that, nobody else wants to speak, right? I just don't want to miss anybody. Oh, okay.
I think my supervisor said it very well. I'm Randy Moody, the chair for the town of Edwards. We are concerned that we did lose the concept. Rampant's working out well for us. One thing I'm kind of concerned about is that just listening to this tonight, this is kind of all new to me. That's why I came tonight. One thing I keep hearing is that we have mutual aid. We have mutual aid with Nakusa. We have mutual aid with Rapids. That's fine. But like they said, what if they are out on a call? Mutual aid is fine to have, but that's not what our township is paying for. Our township has a contract with the village. And that's who we expect service from. We can't wait for Nakusa. We can't wait for Rapids to come. Majority of our township is covered by Nakusa. Majority of it is. Very little is covered by Port Edwards, but those people, I still have to look out for those people. They're still in my township. Like you said, mutual aid's fine, but it's not, you can't count on it. It's kind of like, well, if we need it, it might be there, it might not be there. That's not the same as the service we're paying for. And we want to know, make sure, our contract says the trucks have to respond. My understanding, what you have to have 2 guys on each truck. Is that, I'm not sure that's correct or not, but okay, so that's 4 guys. Well, 4 firefighters isn't a whole lot of firefighters for 2 trucks. But like I said, we're kind of concerned with our township. You know, like I said, we did, like Tim said, send back our contract, have it put in there that it just, you don't supply the service and can't keep up the service, that we would be prorated and pay that money back. Because like I said, we can't afford to, all of a sudden you don't have a fire department, we gotta come up with $35,000 to pay another fire department somewhere. We're not that rich. So like I said, Tim stated things very, very well. So, like I said, we're just kind of concerned. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. Anybody else? I think we're good. Okay. With that, public comment is over, and we are gonna go to number 5, discussion and possible action for providing direction to the PFC on recruiting for a new fire chief. Dwayne, do you have anything to jump in on that one? Right away?
What I'm going to do is pass out information, so all on the same page. So by the village ordinances on chapter 5, government of the department, and that's important to know that the department shall be governed by the bylaws of the department, village ordinances and resolutions, and the Police and Fire Commission rules and the Wisconsin statute. So for that immediately turns the portion of fire chief over to your bylaws, which I have in the second part of the page here. And in your bylaws, which you went through recently, the fire chief is then presented to the Police and Fire Commission. And the Police and Fire Commission will then choose between the applicants that we have for a fire chief. The fire chief then is at the point, you do not have a fire chief now. You have an acting fire chief. And basically, what I wanted to bring on this portion is your discussion of how you want to proceed for the recruitment process for a new fire chief. Now, you heard many comments tonight about what's the requirements, what's the level of it. It's also in our job descriptions that's been approved by the village board. Those would be the guidelines that would be advertised for it. I'm looking for direction because I know the chairman of the Public Service Commission, PFC, he's also here, was looking for what process that the village want to use to bring candidates to the Police and Fire Commission. A lot of people think that the Police and Fire Commission is the one that bring the candidates. They do the promotion and review process. The candidate process is the village board and the village process of bringing those candidates forward. And you heard tonight, and you all know it, that the staffing is limited, but we still have the staffing to cover our contracts. So basically on that point, that is why we have discussion and possible action providing direction to the Police and Fire Commission on recruiting a new fire chief. I need direction myself, the board. I look at the board as a process of doing that. Most places in the past, I have done a lot of recruiting from department heads, process portion of it. You have in the past have received your chiefs through the process of looking internally and promoting process chief. I have no idea if you have some interest, and second, if someone's qualified, because that was some discussion you heard tonight. So what I am aware I can do is start doing a recruiting process using the qualifications we have. Go on and out into the market, see if we have anybody interested. I mean, a market, it means people in the area and even throughout the state. As you've heard, and I've experienced it, trying to find a fire chief is very difficult. It's very difficult for finding even policemen and even government employees right now. It's very hard. So that is what I think the Police and Fire Commission is looking for, that process. I did not talk to the chairman, but I know that he wants to see that procedure, what to do next. So I'm laying it out on you. You can give me authority to move forward through the recruiting process. I don't think you should sit on anything. It's important to make your going forward. I'm gonna say something in the room, we're gonna surprise some of the people. There's people sitting right out here who have resigned. And they can also come through the procedure of what want them to consider the fire chief. Because that's how I think we're gonna recruit. Any comments from your other patrol back to you?
Okay, does anyone have any points? Yep,
I have questions.
oh, yeah.
So Scott, this will be second chief that we've hired since the POC? Yes, sir. So why would anything be different? And we're not gonna, the village ain't gonna actively recruit, it would go through the POC, right? We've spent hours and hours and hours on, I mean, the POC has spent hours and hours and hours on creating a handbook and following statutes and stuff like that. The village board, some of the village board have approved the bylaws and stuff like that. So the processes are already there.
I agree. I think we have a path to move forward and the documents to prove that. Just so you know, and for those of you not in the fire service, generally, advertisement other than internally, of course, we'd offer it internally. But in addition to that, there is the, League of Wisconsin Municipalities that has a free ad for the position that you're looking for, police or fire, actually. And then there's also the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs Association, and they produce a website and document for this open positions such as this. I'm assuming the board would probably stay with the salary currently paid that position. And we would craft an advertisement for fire chief in those two areas as well as internally, and Brian would help, Luke would help us with that, posting and so forth.
So the other question I have, and this is nothing against you, Brian, so please don't take any offense, but internally, there is nobody qualified as per the job descriptions that we're creating and approved. So.
I can run through that real quick and you can confirm that. And that is, chief needs 8 years experience firefighting, and 5 years as an officer. An officer definition is lieutenant, captain, assistant chief, full chief. There's some, educational requirements for the chief position too. That is what they call firefighter 1, firefighter 2 certifications, as well as, completed fire officer 1 class. The other thing that, village currently holds as their, requirements for that position is a completed fire inspector class and, must be able to operate all the apparatus, equipment, so forth. The other thing, and a lot of these are state mandated too, by the way, and, like this is, completed driver, operator, pumper, or, operator of an aerial class. So those things that I just mentioned are the minimum requirements for a chief, with most of it's state mandated, some of it's the village. Eric, I don't know the remaining 10 that we have on the board. I have to review their educational requirements. I thought we did have up to 2, but I'm not sure.
I think the majority of them is time and rate.
That issue?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I just know that a lot of time was spent on a job description, and for promotions, it was, you gotta go by the job descriptions, and I don't. To find the correct person, you may have to stick with that.
I understand.
May have to stick with what? What do you mean?
The job descriptions and what's spelled out, because there was people that were passed over for certain positions that had those qualifications that were passed over. So now is not the time
to pass over on some and then pick some others, so.
Got it.
So I'm just, encouraging you to follow those guidelines, that the PFC and the board has already approved.
Right, but I know I'm mistaken by this assumption. You're not suggesting we don't take other leadership or personality, qualities into consideration that may come out in interviews or a panel interview of professional, experienced guys that, you know, may interview an applicant on our behalf as well. You know, there may be different phases that we use to try to attract or obtain the best qualified person. So it's hard to quantify, I guess you'd say, but, I think our process may be similar to processes we've used in the past in reference to, you know, the resume review, the qualification standards part, the interview part, the expert panel, interview with recommendation part, and even potentially a public meet and greet with a, feedback mechanism portion. It sounds like it's gonna take some time, and I assure you it will. I don't think it's gonna take forever. We understand the urgency and, you know, we certainly work as hard as we can to make it happen as efficiently and as quickly as we could. If that's what your direction is gonna be, hey, we want you to go look for a chief.
Eric, do you have any more questions? Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments for Chairman? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with Eric 100%, but a lot of times when you have your rules and regulations that PFC goes with, you know, in the structure, is there ever any, I hate to use the word leeway, but that's the only word I can think of right now, that, let's just say our current acting chief is missing on one thing. Is there any time that he is the guy with the experience and yada, yada, yada? And if he showed a desire for the job, to give him that time?
Well, we've been in these situations before, and there has been some give and take with the urging of the past village administrator. So that it's not unheard of, no. If it's something fast and hard, you know, if you want me to discount all this education, we have to come back to the board and say, hey, you guys gotta change this. This is what you approved. Our police and fire commission rules are more of a process kind of word, you know, words as opposed to these required experience. As per the position descriptions in the village or bylaws, you know.
Well, currently we're under some uncommon situation as we move forward. That's why I bring it up.
I understand completely.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Yes, Dwayne.
Yes, being administrator of several other communities and be involved when it comes to recruiting, you do use the existing documents that you have for what's out there for the direction. It does not, and I've seen it several places, there's some folks sometimes don't meet those or feel they meet them. They still don't stop themselves from putting an application in, and it still doesn't stop the police and fire commission to look at it. So that's where I was going, Matt. If you want, I need, you know, if you're gonna go internally first and that's your decision, then that's all I need. As administrator, I'm gonna help with the police and fire commission in this process. And if you don't find, or they don't find anyone, then you gotta decide if you want, what steps you want to take. And that's the reason we brought it on the table tonight. And so it's discussed, and it's nothing that's, you know, we need to have it on the open and know what direction that myself and police and fire commission need to work together on.
Can you clarify? You're saying that we need to decide, are we looking for an internal candidate first? And if that doesn't work, then we look at external, or to do both all at once?
When I've seen other places, when you're in this position, you usually go out and you go, doesn't matter internal or external, you go out for looking for a fire chief. It doesn't matter if one of the internal people make the application and finds somebody else in it, it's doing the equal opportunity employment process. And that's what you are, you're a village. Even though you got a police and fire commission, they'll make the final decision, but you're an equal opportunity player, that's why I'm telling you, that's a process that as a elected government body, that's what you need to go through.
Can I ask one follow-up question? How much of the current active members of the fire department involved in the process, right? Because when we're talking about external, we find this amazing candidate, right? But is there any piece to where they get feedback too? Because again, we're looking at, what are we, 10 members? Gotta be a good fit for them too, right?
Correct.
So
And
what
then-
does that look like?
And like your chairman of the PFC indicated, you end up looking at an interview process that is not just them doing the procedure, you get involvement called buy-in, fit, et cetera, if you look at someone from the outside. That is very common with the company that I work with, contract with some, we do that meet and greet, and you have a group of people internally also look at the candidates. And that is a little, you're in a different situation you normally in the past, that's why I'm bringing this up. Who's got the phone? Thank you. I'm glad. That's why I'm bringing it up, so that the board understands that you are an equal employment opportunity, and you just, and that's why if you want, just look internally. I think you can do that, but you're also going to eventually, you can't find somebody, you're going to go back out, so you're creating a wheel twice.
So do we need an official motion from that?
Well, I want to make sure that I'm not stepping on the chair of the Police and Fire Commission on their process and making sure that it is a smooth process between the two bodies.
Sorry, I missed, let me get what you said. What?
I want to make sure that the process of bringing in a new chief or looking at new candidates is that the village board and the Police and Fire Commission are in sync over the process that you're going to put. If you want to just take and redo internally, you should let us know that so we don't go against the Police and Fire Commission, or if you want to look externally, you should let us know too.
I think for matters of efficiency, the thing to do would be to simultaneously work towards both.
That's what I was recommending.
Okay, does anybody around the table disagree with that process? Do you have anything to say about that process?
Well, I'll make a comment with that. I think going the widest net possible sooner than later is important, but I know that when we do transition, especially when we break continuity because of resignation, there's a time period where there's learning opportunities. And my understanding is with the last transition from chief, there was a lack of transition, a proper transition. And when it's internal, sometimes we have to lead it up to, and as it was explained, is that, well, normally the assistant chief just watches the previous chief, and when they become chief, they do what they do, maybe improve upon it. But sometimes there's a break in that continuity or that break in that transition. And it's been my understanding and experience is that Jason has had to sort of learn the job, not just what he's seen with previous chiefs, but there was no proper turnover. There was a handing of keys perhaps, but there's no paperwork. And I do sense that, and I would give Jason the benefit of the doubt that he had to sort of learn it as he went. And we need to make sure that that is corrected, that we cannot have a new chief doing too much learning as they go, but to hit the ground running. And I don't know what mechanisms we have in place because I don't know what paperwork there is to hand over, but it's will create a very much of a lag in the process and the functionality of the department as the chief is trying to get their feet on the ground. And so that's my concern, is to make sure that
I have to agree
transition
with you.
happens.
I've only been here for 6 months and I'm working with the existing chief that just resigned. I didn't find it difficult work with him. He understood the department operation. He knew what's going on. It took him a while, maybe because of the transfer, but you're correct. Most transfers of from one chief to the other one resigned, it usually comes out of the department with that experience. Now, I and you both can, I don't think we should be telling any members of the fire department who are still here that they're not qualified. I don't think that's our job. They have to make that determination. Second, yes, if there, and I don't know completely how our firefighters are trained. However, if that's lax, then we need to make an effort as a village to find someone to make sure that transition occurs. Or in turn, I've heard you do an interim fire chief, one that's been that experience. You haven't talked about that, but that's an alternative. You're just looking, and you look new fire chief. If you ask the question, that's one of the alternatives. The other alternative is that you look at the outgoing chief, and I have nothing wrong to say this. If it's up to him or her, it's up to him in this case, but he might be the individual contract and do it. You've got a lot of alternatives. I know you heard a lot of negatives in today, but it has occurred to the village what has happened. Some people have control what happened, some people don't, but it did happen. And everyone that did talk tonight indicated what they feel about the fire department is going to be for their community. So looking at the PFC to make a person hire some, I agree, that's long and that's fine. But you as the village board, and you have me as your interim administrator, you need to do the best job of how to train the new one coming in and recruiting for one. The first question is, like I said earlier, because of the history of this Village of Port Edwards, always been internally. And that is how it's been brought through. Now, like Supervisor Seeloff said, there is job descriptions that you have put in place as a village. That's where you start. In every place. When you recruit, if you're going to recruit even internally, if someone is not completely fitting the requirements of the job description, yet the police and fire commission still feel that the individual or her can meet the requirements. That same concern you have has to happen to that individual. So I have seen other communities look at an interim. Some of those people, you may have them here or not, I don't know, or other communities around here. Third, you have a acting chief that just got promoted. Nothing negative to that the person, but that is another person you lean on to, and then you actually lean on to the rest of the firefighters who are left. You don't have the ones that resign with over 100 some years or whatever years of experience. You don't have it. They left, and they left for their reasons. You heard them. Yet we as a village, and me as your acting or interim administrator, I still feel that what you said has to occur with somebody or somehow. I don't have the answer tonight, but those are some of the alternatives. That's why it's on the agenda.
Trustee Saylor.
Don't breathe heavy when you say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
Two things. And then I'll shut up about it. The qualified promotion internally. You know, there were multiple times where there were qualified people that were on the board or on the fire department to be promoted. And for whatever that case was, they were found not promotable. Some of those people were brought up. It took a year to get them to advance. So now, you know, I always say, you know, piss poor planning doesn't make an emergency. So you had the opportunity to advance people and that didn't happen. And now we should not be lax on the qualifications to put those, whoever it is, to be promoted. That's number one. Number two, Caleb, I appreciate your statement about trying to work with the chief, and that's how you should envision whatever, but that did not happen. The Public Safety Committee did not from day one work with the chief, and if we had that opportunity to work with the chief, we would not be in the spot that we're in right now. So I appreciate you saying that the next chief that comes in, us as a board have to work with those people. We got to be genuine in saying that because that did not happen. And shame on us for that. So.
Just a point of order, Eric, with regard to being presented with viable candidates to promote. So the reality is when there was an opening in January of last year, assistant chief, we asked in every meeting, you have a recommendation for you every month. And they're not, the chief, for his reasons, was not ready to do that at that time. When he was, we got a delay in that last July incident. Other than that, we're not stopping any progress, that we want progress in the fire department. We do.
I'm just encouraging you to find the qualified people as per the job descriptions to be employed by the fire department.
Understand.
Madam President, am I allowed to ask one quick question? No.
Not right now. Okay, so for, I guess, Dwayne, do we, like I asked you, do we need a motion or do we just need a consensus for the PF,
I
essentially
think-
to give a PFC permission?
Term administrator, I'm looking for a motion, how you wanna go, so I don't want no one make any mistake, what I'm trying to do with the police and fire commission chair.
Okay. so you
I've
just
heard,
wanna-
I've heard several things that are on the floor, and I've heard several good questions. I'd like to know what the board as a whole, and we can have that. If you don't want a motion, then you direct that to your chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Madam President, this is all procedural stuff, but my personal opinion, we don't need a motion on it.
Okay, just need a
This
consensus.
acts basically in the bailiwick of, the board with primarily the administrator and you to move it on.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, anything,
The only
ideas?
thing that I would add is, I mean, we're planning forward, but in the right now, I think we need to really look at it and discuss what can we do to support our acting chief. We're in the right now, like however that may look, whether it's getting somebody, however that may look, maybe with a neighboring community, whatever, making sure that we're not finding out a year or two later that this and that fell through the cracks.
And that was my job, what I was gonna do is work with the acting chief. I talked to him very briefly recently, haven't got a chance to go down that road. I do know that he knows fire department very well. He knows mutual aid very well. He knows his firemen very well. And basically, he may not want to have any information, help from me or not, I don't know. But he also has internal firefighters that will work with him too, so I think that's something.
Having that discussion, I agree, and he knows his abilities and just feeling him out for what and where might he need help? And how can we make sure that
Nothing
happens?
negative, I think that's something that the two of us will work on.
Okay, so am I hearing a consensus that we go forward with hiring a fire chief? When we can open that up to, I think, from what I'm hearing, kind of open that up to both external and internal to see what we can get. Okay, Dwayne or Chairman Stewart, do you need anything else from us on this topic?
I understand what you said, yes.
Okay.
I understand very well too.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6, discussion and possible action of the structure of the fire department organization.
In your packet also.
Trustees are, I'm sorry.
Madam President, I don't think we're anywhere near going into, discussion and possible action of the structure of the fire department organization. I personally feel this should be coming out of the appropriate committee or committees. And I do really strongly believe that this can wait until the new board is through this.
Does anybody else have comments on that?
I agree with Trustee Zerflu on that, the restructure of the fire department right now, I think is premature.
Okay. So would we like, I'm sorry. Just raise your hand up.
The reason I asked to put on the agenda that discussion, so you, board members know.
No.
Is. Hello?
Don't.
Okay, and is that I don't think you're gonna take any action tonight, but I think it's important, I wanted to bring forward to you the discussion, at least what I would like to work on, but if it doesn't wanna talk about it, then it's up to the board to not move forward, and I think that's your decision.
Okay. I think maybe we pause on that and have that discussion at a public safety committee, and then we can start that way. Once we get through a few of these hurdles that we have in front of us. Anybody else have any disagreement with that stance?
I do.
You
Agree.
agree, okay. Okay, then we will put that on future agenda items. Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
we've got an interim chief here, can we go up to him and ask him if he feels that needs to be done? I don't know where this is all coming from, right? But I mean, his input might be good to have if he feels it needs to be restructured right now or something that can.
Well, and I think maybe Dwayne and him can get together on the side and talk about that and then move forward. What does everybody think about that? Okay. Then we'll let them talk about it and then see where we go from there.
Do we want it on the next public safety meeting or wait? It's April 2nd.
The next public safety meeting is April 2nd. We should probably, why don't we reassess and then we can kind of see where we are with everything by then. Okay,
Reorganizational meetings the 16th of April. so it's
16th.
Not
it's not too far out.
like 4 months away, so.
Okay. Okay. Number 7, trustee comments. Does anybody have any additional comments?
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out, voicing their opinion one way or the other. It's good to see. There's a lot of times that we sit in this room by ourselves and, we record the meetings and we have 23 views. So a lot of people, you're not gonna look for the information unless you hear about something that interests you. So I appreciate the amount of people that came out one way or the other. And we encourage you all to continue. Thank you.
Mr. Ecke.
I just want to thank, all the firemen, ones that retired or resigned, or the dedication that you folks put into this village. I know it. I've worked with some of you, or many of you, and some not. But to be a firefighter, or a policeman, or work in a small village or community of about 1,800 people, and the hours that you put in, they don't go unrecognized. And I wish that we could have, like Mr. Say said, that we could have mediated this before. And further on going here, we have heads of departments, we do the budgets, the heads of departments have to run their divisions, run for them. So let's hopefully we can do that. And like I said, we're all in a small community. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why I stayed here. Years ago. But thank you all for coming out and giving comments.
Anybody else? Jeff?
I definitely piggybacking off of the previous 2 comments, but like Trustee Taylor said, thank you for coming out. We need you guys to come out. There is a lot going on in the village that I feel like we need help on and need your input on. So please keep coming out and telling us what you want. This is good to hear from you. And I know we hear from some of you guys periodically via emails or whatnot, but it is good to see people out. Glenn, thanks for the commentary about middle ground. I completely agree. We do need to find middle ground and learn how to work together. This has been disastrous the past couple of weeks, right? And on that note, thank you guys for Jason for that. Jordan, Holden, I think as well, and I mean, gotta say, I still thank all of you for your service. We do appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll say something. It wasn't until the mural was put up down here at the end of the plaza that I realized that it was going to be the 100th anniversary of the fire department, and of course I started as public safety midway through the year. So if there was a comment, well, as chair, I was on it before. If there was a comment made, it was a comment made in passing. But well before the start of this year, I had made to get a quote for a plaque to recognize the fire department, and somebody said, well, it's going to be too late. It's already now 101 years, but I said it's better late than never. And this week I got a response from the place that said, we're still waiting on your, response. It's been sitting there, but I want you to know that is sitting there, and I'm still going to, no matter how it's received, I think it's important that it was not a discussion to recognize the 100 years. It didn't come as a topic through public safety, but I think it's important, to do it better late than never, to recognize, the contributions of not only the current firefighters, but 100 years worth of firefighters. And to research the history, was very interesting 100 years ago and what took place then. And I recognize that, and I'm going to continue to pursue that. And I want it to also be not just for who's left, but also for those, in honor of those who have resigned or retired as well, because I think that's important.
Thank you.
If I could. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and I look forward to seeing everybody that's here tonight continue to support the fire department. Be retired, be resigned, everybody continue to support them and help them, encourage them, lift them up. This has not always been a negative thing until this year. This year, we've had a very difficult time. But the level of support, encouragement, conversations outside, my own time looking for grants and just trying to be supportive because that's who I am. That's what I believe in. And you can be rude and disrespectful, but that's not how I'm gonna operate with you. I appreciate your time, Jason. I've told you that a lot. I have apologized when I've messed up. Is it my time or their time?
Can we please not walk all over each other and let everybody finish speaking?
This is a forum that is meant to be a place where we can openly think and discuss things. So as a trustee, when I'm trying to serve the village, I will continue to do the best that I can. For all of the people that call me, the people that have emailed me, the firemen that have emailed me, all of those people, the firemen that have emailed in support and saying, hang in there, keep going, we're gonna continue to do that. That's it.
Jason, this is trustee comment. I've given you multiple minutes of times earlier. If there's something you need to address, you can, no. Okay.
Call for adjournment.
No.
For adjournment.
No,
You can call adjournment. There's
No.
business.
Chairman Scott Stewart said,
I adjourned the meeting at
Rick
6:54.
Chester retired in April. I wasn't 100% sure if he was going to retire. I was hoping he wasn't.